And we're live.
Hey, y'all. Welcome in.
I'm Jason.
I'm Jen, and welcome to our podcast. We are CSG, Construction Solutions Group. It's
Yeah.
all about business in here. And we've done some research, and we're excited to bring today's topic to you guys.
All right. So what do we got today?
Well, so I'm pretty curious. So we are in the second month of the year already. And I was, looking around and kind of being like, what, and I'm probably behind the curve on all of it, but like what's changing? What should we have our eyes on the horizon for that's coming our way for the home service industry in 2024? And essentially what came out is that all of the millennials are looking at becoming homeowners. Like that's really a lot of millennials are really dead focused on how do I make this happen? And we've kind of been since the pandemic, we've been kind of like forced out of being able to buy homes. We, couldn't we got drilled into us from the whole Dave Ramsey stuff, like stay inside of our budget, live below our means.
Yeah.
And so buying a house was kind of like for most millennials hasn't happened yet. And so now they're like, no, this is it. Like from here on out, that's my only goal and concern. And I know for me, I bought my first house when I was 20.
Yep.
And I thought that my mortgage payment of $725 was going to kill us.
Yeah, that was high then, right?
Yeah.
And like, how are we making ends meet now?
Right. Exactly. Because I don't feel like my paycheck has changed.
I mean, you don't think it's gotten better?
Yeah, no, I think like the mortgage price went up, but my paycheck like kind of like went to, hasn't really gone with it. So, yeah, I think that that's a huge thing. A lot of people are structuring themselves to do that. And then what's going to happen when they do? Are we marketing to them? Do they understand how to care for a home? Do they understand the services that they need?
No, that's why they build zero lot line homes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so here's the other part of this. I had this conversation with somebody, and please don't come after me because I'm not highly educated on the housing market. But to me, my perspective is that people want to glorify the tiny home life living. But if you look at third world countries, what are they living in? Tiny homes.
Yeah.
Because they can't afford to buy something. And so we're glorifying this tiny home lifestyle when it's like you realize that we're glorifying it because that's the way of which our government has pushed us. Like everything has pushed us to the point of like, no, do more with less. No, do more with less. Don't do more with less. And you got to look at all these other third world countries that are around us, and that's exactly what they have done. And where are they?
Yep.
So
yeah, it's different. Definitely a different spin on things if you look at it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't always look at everything the way everybody else does.
Oh, this I know.
But honestly, like if you look at Korea, if you look at China, if you look in I'm not saying those are specifically third world countries. I'm just saying we as the United States glorified the American dream, and now the American dream is do more with less.
Less money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's just because they keep taking our income.
Yeah.
I mean, tax rates what they are, interest rates what they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's just craziness to me. So yeah, I was looking at that going, ooh, wow. Because I know that I was one of the few in my early 20s to be fortunate enough to buy a house. I know that. I know
when
that
we bought homes, like you were saying,
Mhm.
our mortgages were a lot lower than they are now.
Yeah.
And that's, only really happened where the mortgages doubled, quadrupled over the last maybe 5-6 years. Because the homes were not 600 plus though.
No, not at all.
You could get something between 2 and 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty easy. And that was pretty much the average.
Yeah. So when we bought our first house, we paid, and we bought our first house in 2011, 2012, 2011, somewhere in there. We bought our first house and we paid $102,000 for it.
Yep.
It was like basically $100 a square foot. And it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. And I think it was probably right at 1,300 square feet. and had a backyard, had a, small little porch on the back of it. Uh, Cute little neighborhood, sidewalks, like, when you're
In a subdivision.
yeah, in a subdivision. And when you're that young and looking to buy a house, you're like, to me, it was the Taj Mahal,
Yeah.
And then by the time we sold in like 2016, I think, it was like we couldn't even afford to buy a house in the area that we bought the first one.
Yeah, no.
And I was like,
And by that time, that house is old.
yeah. And so I was like, okay, where do we go? So we had to go way outside of the city limits to even buy a house that we could afford, or the type of house we wanted to be able to afford.
Right.
And so we were able to
at
move.
which time you probably wanted a little bit more space, land.
Yeah. And that's what we got. And then to that, and then actually being able to move back to the first city that we're in now, like we bought land from family.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason we were able to get the land. Granted, the family made us buy it we had to have an appraisal. It wasn't like a family discount. It
At
was like
cost.
Yeah, we had to have it appraised and pay what it was going to be listed for. Family was not family in that instance. But I mean, it is what it is. Granted, we lost something.
Oh, nice.
What happened?
I think we're probably still going.
Oh. Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. The screen just timed out.
The screen.
Yeah. So like, granted, so it was a 2-acre lot that we bought, and it was $90,000. That's $30,000 an acre.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is astronomical.
It is.
And
that is ridiculous, actually, especially from family.
Yeah, quote unquote, right? So, and then we, built a little barn dominium thing on it or whatever. Sold it for a good chunk of change, but what we sold it for, like, good gosh.
Yeah.
That's what homes are going for.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. And so that's why I'm looking, like, if these millennials that are coming in.
I'm tired of renting.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I don't mind doing it. And the time is now, not later.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it never goes this way. It always goes this way.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that the other day when we were on our walk, and because we were walking by looking at one of our clients that we were giving a fence quote to. And I was thinking, people back when in the past years have been like, oh, I don't want to buy right now because the price might go down. That mindset has now flipped, and I don't want to buy anything. You should buy right now because the price is going to go up. Like, it never goes down.
Yeah. Well, people don't want to sell. That's the problem. People don't want to sell right now, so that they have to buy something twice as much as what they're in.
Yeah. But people aren't doing upgrades to their homes either.
No, but right now is just a weird time. I mean, with elections and everything else, rates are weird. Certain rates are weird. Depends on what you're buying and where you're buying it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you're buying anything that's brand new construction, you could probably get a better deal on it than.
Yeah. So I was actually, I follow some really cool realtors on Instagram that have been doing tours of new construction, and the new construction, they're trying to get you guys in on them. Granted, they're still like hecka expense, right? Big money, but they're able to buy down your rate. And so they'll buy you down on interest rate going in at like 4.25%, and they're paying your closing costs, and they're not requiring you to have any down payment. Granted, I'm a veteran. I've got if I buy, I don't have to have any money down.
Yeah.
Huge blessing. I can't wait to benefit from that again. And it takes a huge thing. Like, I could just literally go buy a house because I want to. Like, that's not a privilege most people have.
Yeah.
Most people are like, okay, well,
you can buy multiples.
Huh?
You can buy multiples.
Yeah.
But only the first one is no interest.
No interest.
Or no money down, sorry.
No. It's not like that.
Multiples are that way?
Yeah. So long as you, like, once you close out, like, you reuse it. Like, so if I was going to go out and buy multiple properties at one time, I can only use it once. Like, it only applies to one house. But I'm talking, like, if you wanted it, like, you buy a house, sell a house, use it again. Buy a house, sell a house. That's what I'm saying. Oh, okay.
If you wanted to buy multiples, you can only do it once.
One time. Yeah. But I know that can't be for everybody. I get that. But these homes that they're showing are what I bought the first time. Like they're not.
Yeah, they're not nothing fancy.
It blows my mind that I was able to buy that for $107,000, and that like same house, same size, same everything is going for $375.
Yeah, triple.
It's insane.
It is insane.
So
And
how are we
hasn't
millennials
been that-
supposed to break into this housing market and this American dream that we've been sold on since we were
That's why you see
12?
so much multifamily here. It's our market. The Texas DFW market is just insane, anyways.
Yeah.
And so, if you're going to live here and live this lifestyle, you have to like fully indulge in the lifestyle. Like you have to go in and use the DFW market for what it is, and you got to go get that high paying job so that you can afford to live in a house.
Yeah, that's a whole nother issue that I've been following as well on social media and reading articles about that. They're claiming the job market is
And then when you
great.
have that high paying job, you're never at home to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot like the millennials are definitely opening their eyes to the fact of like, why am I paying for something I'm not living? Which is also intrigued them to go, maybe I want to go tiny living so I don't have to work as much, right? If I have less, I don't have to make as much.
Yeah.
Make less, have less. But you have your time. Like we're really sitting back and weighing the pros and cons of what we want to do with our lives and what we want, really what we value. And then to that, the other part that I was looking into this business wise is how many are not having families.
Well, the family size, just the average family size has just dropped.
Yeah.
From 4 to 1 or 2 or none.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of people are going to just the one kiddo
or none
at all. And to that, not even getting into relationships.
I mean, how many people do you know that don't have kids? I know a
lot.
lot.
I know a lot of kids that are married and they're like, no, we're double income, no kids.
Yeah.
That's called a DINK. Double income, no kids. There's a DINK. There's an acronym for it.
Bunch of dinks.
Yeah. Double income, no kids. Yeah. And they're happy. And that's great for them. And I love that for them. I'm just saying that there's also a chunk of millennials that are living in apartments with kiddos that want the American dream, but they're like, I got to wait till my kids turn 18 because I can't do this.
Even living in an apartment with kids has got to be tough.
I mean, I did it for a short time and it's not easy.
No, it's tough. I mean, they want to go out, they want to do things, they want to go outside and play, and then you've got to send them to somewhere you can't even see them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So that's today's topic and conversation is the millennials are coming into the market. I hear them. Millennials are coming into the market.
Yeah.
They're coming into choices and decisions. Millennials are raising up in the ranks of employment and holding those higher positions. And they're looking to see what type of home they want to step off into, whether it's the traditional home, whether it's a, small tiny home living situation.
Apartment.
Yeah. And I saw there was an ad somewhere that was like these tiny homes that are still $1,000 a month.
Oh yeah.
And
Isn't
I'm
that
like,
crazy?
It makes me want to stab my eyeball. Like,
And then you got to find somewhere to put it.
These ones were tiny homes in a neighborhood. It was a tiny home neighborhood.
Yeah, you don't see that.
They looked like shotgun houses. You remember the old school shotgun style homes?
Yeah. Fox and Jacob.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm talking like years ago, like early 30s, 40s, 50s. They were just like, because they were all connected together, like the row houses.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking
about. Yeah. But these obviously have space in between them. They're not connected. But yeah, it's crazy. They're still $1,000 a month. And then all your property taxes. And that's the whole agenda in Texas right now is getting rid of property tax.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Well, we don't have what is that? Personal tax? I don't know what that's called. There's one tax is it state tax? I don't know. There's one tax that Texas doesn't participate in.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one that is because we participate in a lot.
We do participate in a lot, but there's one that Texas, like a lot of states do have that Texas doesn't have. But I don't know what it's called.
Tax.
I think it's a state tax, yeah. There's a lot happening in Texas right now. Texas is very, we've got the whole border issue going on. That affects businesses, believe it or not. It really does. And then we've got the, tax issue that's changing. There's a school board issue that's happening right now as well. They're trying to take away the tax or your property taxes. So essentially right now our property taxes go to pay our school taxes, but they're trying to make it to where our school taxes, we get to decide who we pay them to. So if we want to use our school taxes to put our children into private school, we can do that. I know that it's been,
They're going
voted.
to let us allocate it.
Yeah. I know it's been voted down and I get that, but wherever your kid would attend school is where that money would go. And I'm not against that because I feel like you get a better education at that point.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Texas has become very, very political. And I don't feel like years ago it was like that.
No. But I mean, our state's always been separate from quite literally the rest of the country.
Honestly, yeah.
So I feel like it's probably trying to catch up.
Yeah. I get that too. Well, and just think about the residents influx we've had. People moving to Texas.
There's so many people here.
Mm-hmm.
So many. It's like any town that you go to here just seems outrageously populated.
Mm-hmm.
Any town. I mean, granted, yeah, you can go far east and you can go far west. But if you're like in the DFW, like central Texas, from honestly, from like Gainesville to Sherman, all the way through it, all the way to the coast, right through the center of it, is just stupid populated.
Yeah, because you've Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio, Houston.
Yeah,
and
Corpus.
And then Corpus Christi. Yeah, it's just insane how much we've grown. And Austin became tech capital of Texas and moved in all those tech companies.
There's just so many people here.
It's crazy.
And they are like, it's blowing up where it is going further east and further east.
Yeah.
I lived in Roy City. There wasn't hardly any people there when I lived there. And that's stupid now.
And when we moved out to Springtown.
And Weatherford's doing the same thing.
I know. Yeah. And Weatherford and Springtown are pretty close together. And when we moved out to Springtown, the population was 1,600.
Yeah.
And the population, I think, is quadrupled since we left.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
It's crazy. But there's no infrastructure either. It's like they can't, people are moving and relocating so quickly and so fast that infrastructure cannot keep up.
No. That's why you always see roads tore up and there's always road work.
Yeah. I'm even talking as far as fire departments, schools, water systems.
You gotta first figure out how people are going to get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all the heavy equipment's going to get there to build all of the stuff.
Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's just crazy to me. So that was the topic today, was just talking about really the big, if you blow up the big picture of what's happening, is millennials are having a different framework.
Yeah.
About what they find value in, and that they want to be able to buy a house, and how do they make that happen?
Yeah. And even the younger age group, I mean, it's not millennials. What is it?
Is that Gen X? I don't know.
Whatever it is, whatever is underneath us that are in their 20s, 30s, I guess, right now. Those people aren't even moving out.
No.
They got to stay home. There's nowhere for them to go. There's no way that they can afford anything on, 18 to 20 bucks an hour, maybe $22 an hour.
Yeah.
And that's if they can hold the job.
Yeah. So there's Generation X. I had it backwards. So Generation X was before us, and then we're the millennials. Granted, we were born in 1985. It's hard for me to say I'm a millennial. Then there's Generation Z, which is 97 to 2012, which would be
underneath us.
Yeah. And then Generation Alpha, which is 2013 to 2025.
Yeah, I want to be called the Alphas.
Interesting. Yeah, so even still, even our group of millennials that's with us, that's born 91 to 96, even. I feel like there's two different groups of millennials. There's the old millennials, 81 to 85. And then there's the 85 to, or even 90s to 96.
Yeah.
I feel like I think there's two differentiating groups there in the millennial category. And not because I'm trying to differentiate us or whatever, but I really do feel like that the 90s kids are different from the 80s kids.
Oh, yeah.
And we had different things in our homes at a younger age than they did at a younger age.
Yeah, everything was just like starting to develop in early 90s.
I can remember in 93, or maybe it was 94, when we got our first computer in the house. And it had like the big floppy drive and like you could play games on it and stuff. And like chat rooms were starting to become a thing. It was really, really weird. You had dial up internet and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's why I say I think that there is some things that definitely differentiate the 80s kids versus the 90s kids of the millennial generation.
Well, we were kind of grown up enough to remember those things, and
right.
They wouldn't have been.
Right. Yeah. So even I say the kids, even the ones that were born, like I said, 90 to 96, I think those are the ones that we're talking about that are coming up and buying homes.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that try, So like I was saying, it's hard for them to even hold jobs. And then you've got to think about, okay, what's it take to buy a house? Well, you have to have, you got to show that you have held a job for a certain period of time. And how can you hold a job if your job is honestly flipping burgers?
Yeah.
Or working at AT&T or whatever it is. You're working at a store, at retail.
Yeah.
I mean, those jobs aren't being held. And retail, especially because of how much retail is closing and slowing down.
That is a huge craze that's happening right now. Like Target, there's a huge projection that Target's going to fall out, which is crazy to think about. But it's possible because you remember Kmart? Kmart's gone.
Yeah.
You remember Mervyn's? Mervyn's is gone. Sears is gone. Like
a lot of big names are gone.
A lot of big names are gone. And so it's possible. Like to think that you're indestructible would be naive.
Yeah. I mean, I feel it in what I do. And when I'm out doing what I do, I'll go in.
Well, look how big Toys R Us was.
Mall, and half of the mall will be out. Like, there's so many stores that are closing up or downsizing or whatever it is. So they cut off certain locations. I mean, it's pretty scary to watch because it means the same thing for building. It means the same thing for construction. If those jobs aren't there for the people that are working at them, how are they going to be there for us as construction workers to build the jobs?
Yeah.
So it's very concerning. Although I've seen a big uptick in bid invitations, or I did last month, I haven't really noticed that they've been consistent though. The only real consistency I see in bid invites is like whenever they're sent. So they're being sent like the first of the month, but as you get carried on through into like the last week of the month, you really don't get anything.
Yeah, and the reason that matters is because like when you kick off a project, it takes employees and staff to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it takes, months and months and months to even get a project under contract.
Yeah.
And sometimes years.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. And
then the contract goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
Hopefully the money stays together.
Even our 17-year-old has applied for jobs and is having a hard time even hearing anything back on anything.
Not that there's not everybody having an ad up hiring, because that's not the case. Everybody's got an ad up hiring.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what they want to hire because the job pool is so big.
It's a funky time.
And there are so many people available.
Yeah, it's so like just like housing markets where it's like a buyer market or seller's market, there's employment markets as well. So like it's either an employee market or an employer market. And right now it's an employer market. They get to select. And there was one employer who's like, I've got one position to fill right now and I have 1,700 applications.
Yeah.
The heck what?
You got 1,700 people to put one person in.
Mm-hmm.
So you got all of this stuff in front of you. You're going to go, okay, I just need one. All right. Well, there's still 1,700 people there
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
looking for a job.
Yep. Yeah. And then there was in this documentary or like, I don't know, what you want to call it, news story, whatever. He's like, yeah, I've done 2,000 applications, still looking for a job. And he had literally had the receipts to prove he had applied for 2,000 jobs. And it wasn't like a, batch large submit. It went in and it showed him like every day he was consistent and diligent and doing what he was supposed to and doing what we've been told to do, right? As far as like how to apply, when to follow through and all this other crap. It's like, yeah, like if you're not in a trade, it's kind of hard to find a job.
Yeah. Honestly.
You can get hired if you know a trade.
Yes and no. Depends on how much you know. Also depends on how little you know.
Yeah.
It can go both ways on that. You can know too much and you'd be overqualified.
Yeah. That's a statement that you never would think would be a thing.
No.
But it is.
You're overqualified. You make too much money. Even though we're willing to pay this position, $130,000 a year. You're used to making 200,000, so we already know that you're going to want that.
Yeah.
So we're not going to hire you.
Yeah. Well, so like I went in and applied for a social media like position because I was like, yeah, I could totally do this. This is not bad. And they were like, well, we really just think you're overqualified. We're going to pay somebody a lot less. They're not going to know as much as you. Like, this is a legit conversation they have with me. And they're like, we're going to pay somebody a lot less to do this position. You're really just too good at it. And we don't want to pay you this. And we don't want to offend you either. And I'm like, so you want to pay somebody to figure it out? That makes no sense to me. Okay.
I don't want to pay somebody to figure out my plumbing or electrical.
No, social media.
Or my roof.
Social media, I can kind of understand, but like.
Or my HVAC. Or my foundation issues.
Yeah. So.
I'm not going to pay somebody to figure out how to be an engineer.
That's a really long, dedicated degree. Engineering.
Yeah, whether it's an electrical engineer, civil engineer, structural engineer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of talent.
So how often are we going to do these things?
I think we need to be doing them once a week.
Awesome.
And I think our audience would appreciate it once a week.
Okay.
Most of them are probably having lunch. That's why they haven't tuned in.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll find the right time.
YouTube will tell us what the right time is.
YouTube will. Their analytics are pretty on point.
Yeah. That's all right. But yeah, I guess we're going to go have lunch.
Yeah. I'm hungry.
So let's do that.
I wasn't hungry earlier, but I'm hungry now.
All right. So join us next week for our live next week.
All right. Bye, y'all.